Okay.
Right.
So I'm caught up in about 30 movies.
Tell me when.
Good for you. Well, after you feel
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Good morning, good Shabbos, and welcome. For those of you who don't recognize me with glasses on rather than the contact lenses, a little bit of an eye issue, so I'll try to read as best as I can with the glasses on. Thank you. Welcome to our worship on Shabbat morning. We're at Beth Shalom Temple Center in Green Valley, Arizona. Some of us here in the sanctuary, those who are joining us at home. The prayer book, the Siddur, is Mishkan Tefillah. The blue pages will be announcing the page numbers, and I hope that you can follow along and join in the prayers and join in the singing as well. To quote the words, it's been a very difficult week for the Jewish community around the world, and we'll be commenting a little bit more as the service continues and adding some thoughts and prayers. But to quote the famous folk singing rabbi John Denver, it's never too late to seek the wisdom of the children and the gentle way of flowers in the wind. So recognizing that wisdom, the first YouTube with which we'll begin our service is an interpretation. Alana Arian is the composer, but this is an interpretation of a children's day school singing the words of Hine Matov. So we listen to the wisdom and the melodies of the children.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom from the Soul Singers. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Continuing with words of the psalmist, the bottom of page 70 in the prayer book is Psalm 121. Esaenai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Esaenai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Ezri Me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim V'Haaretz Ezri Me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim V'Haaretz Esaenai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Esainai el heharim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri mehim Adonai, ose shamayim v'aretz. Ezri mehim Adonai, ose shamayim v'aretz. Page 78. Elohai, my God, the soul that you have given me is a pure one. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God. You are the God of my ancestors, the source of all creation, the sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in your hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher biyado nefesh kol chai, v'ruach kol b'sar ish. The selection of our morning blessings, Nisim b'chol yom birchot hashachar, beginning on page 80, and I would invite you to continue silently, privately, either in Hebrew traditional words or in English or translations or a combination thereof, and then after a few moments of silent prayer, we'll join together reading on page 85. So between page 80 and 84, prayers of morning blessings silently and privately. So on page 85, this is the familiar statement of the French philosopher Edmund Flegg. We'll read responsively, page 85. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel demands no abdication of my mind. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel requires all the devotion of my heart. I am a Jew because in every place where suffering weeps, the Jew weeps. I am a Jew because at every time the Spirit cries out, the Jew hopes. I am a Jew because the word of Israel is the oldest and the newest. I am a Jew because Israel's promises is the promise. I am a Jew because for Israel the world is not completed, we are completing it. I am a Jew because with Israel humanity is not created, we are creating it. I am a Jew because Israel places humanity and its unity above the nations and above Israel itself. I am a Jew because above unity, Israel places unity which is divine. And on page 101, Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu, v'ruach kol basar tefa'eru tromem zichracha malkeinu tamid. Let the soul of everything alive bless your name, Adonai our God. The spirits of all flesh glorify and exalt your name forever, O Sovereign One. Transcending space and time, you alone are God. We have no sovereign besides you. God of the first and the last, God of all creatures, Master of all generations, who's praised in a multitude of praises, who guides the world with abundant loving kindness and all creatures with mercy. Adonai neither slumbers nor sleeps. God awakens the sleeping, arouses those who slumber, gives speech to the mute. God loosens the bonds of captives, God supports the fallen and strengthens those who are bent over. Lecha levadcha anachnu modim. You alone do we acknowledge. Chatzi Kaddish on page 106. The Kaddish Le'ela, introducing our call to worship. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yahomechon u'v'chayed chol beit Yisrael. Bahagala u'v'zman karib v'meru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam elol me'ol maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shihirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'yimeru. Amen. Our call to worship, page 108. If you are comfortable to do so, please rise. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Leolam Vahed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Leolam Vahed. Page 110, Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha v'rachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Marabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mala ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita, Yifa'arucha Selah, Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir, V'nizkechu lanu mehera la'oro, Baruch ata Adonai, Yotzer HaMe'orot. On page 112, continuing together in English, how deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surprising compassion. On occasion of our forebears, whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. V'ha'erinenu b'toratecha, v'dahabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yacher levaveinu v'yahava u'yera et shemecha, v'lo nevosh v'lo nikale v'lo nikashe le'olam vahed. V'ha'erinenu b'toratecha, v'dahabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yacher levaveinu le'ahava u'yera et shemecha. Continuing near the bottom of the page, Enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Focus our minds on your mitzvot. Unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly you drew us near to your name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praised be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael, b'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. The words of Devarim of Deuteronomy on page 116. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam leyot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mzuzot beitecha uvish arecha lemahan tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiyot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 121 responsively. The eternal truth is that you alone are God, there is none else. Righteous of all nations, rejoice in your and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart. Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor, asks God. Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God, deserving of blessing. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mikamocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nora tehilot, O Seifele, la 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 Lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai. שירה חדשה, שבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים. יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא. אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחנו ממך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Page 124, beginning on page 124, continuing through the next several pages, our tefillah, the central part of our worship service, Amidah, Shmona Esrei. The ark will be open. I invite you to rise if you are comfortable doing so. We'll join in chanting together, beginning on page 124. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Mageh. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rab le'oshia. Morid hatah, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim. Sohomech noflim berofei cholim, Umatihir asurim, Kahayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Nichamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidoho melach, Melech meimid umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. On page 130. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרו, ככתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu v'hu Yashmienu, berachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohai yichzion, ledor vador, Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid God lecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nahakdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu, mipinu lo yamush leolam vaed. Baruch ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Let's be seated. Page 132. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei honeg. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Am mikadeshei shevi. Kulam yisbeu ve'yitangu mituvecha. Am mikadeshei shevi. Kulam yisbeu ve'yitangu mituvecha. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo. Ratzita bo v'kidashto. Chemdati yamim oto karata. Zecher l'maseh v'reishit. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha. Page 134, continuing together in English. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest, sanctify us with your mitzvot, send us to share in your Torah.
Satisfy us with your goodness and cause us to salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God.
Grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch ata Adonai, Mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Top of page 137. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu b'yamcha Yisrael, utfilatam b'ahavat tekabel, utehila ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch ata Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yira na'avod. And on page 139, this interpretation of the traditional Modim Anachnu Lach, the prayer of thanksgiving for the outstanding, expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe, challenging our imaginations, Modim Anachnu Lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, Modim Anachnu Lach. For the joys of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, Modim Anachnu Lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice, even in the very midst of hostility and oppression, Modim Anachnu Lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views which are not shared. Modim anachnu lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, those who have lived, those who have died, so that others might live in dignity and freedom. Modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and to choose. Modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness. You are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch ata Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lahodot. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom, la 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 la. Grant peace, blessing, goodness and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us, to all your people Israel. Bless us, our Creator, all of us together, through the light of your presence. Truly, through the light of your presence, Adonai, our God, you gave us a Torah of life and love, of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May you see fit to bless your people Israel at all times, at every hour, with your peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch ata Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Certainly with the theme, the sound, the prayer, and the ideal of shalom, of peace in our lips, in our hearts, I thought it appropriate we'll spend a moment or two with special thoughts and indeed our own prayers for peace in the land of Israel. I share with you this prayer for the peace of the state of Israel, written by my colleague, although I've never met him, I've met his wife. She's also a rabbi, but this is Ofer Sabbath Beit Halachmi. His wife is the brilliant Rabbi Rachel Sabbath Beit Halachmi, who has taught at the rabbinic school and is now senior rabbi of one of the large congregations in Baltimore, in Reformed congregations. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Pachad Yitzchak, Elohei Yael, Elohei Ruach Shaol HaTova, Elohei Yisrael. Our God and the God of our fathers and mothers, the God of the fear of Isaac, the God of the strength of Yael, the God of the good spirit of Saul, the God of Israel. Anna, please, with the great force of your right hand, for them, our ancestors, if not for you, fence our boundaries at the sea, the east, north, and south. Cover our world under the wing of your divine presence. Give wisdom and understanding to our elders and our government. Distance them from any dishonorable deed. Lead them in paths of the just and the good, for we have truly put our lives in their hands. Sit our judges on thrones of justice and enlighten their hearts with your Torah so that they may walk blamelessly before you, O God. Anna, please, with the great force of your right hand, spread over the protectors of our land the canopy of your peace. Lift your hands over them. Save them from all enemies and ambush, from all bullets that threaten their souls. Give them strength and heart to distinguish between enemy and lover, between the people of wickedness and the people of Abraham. Anna, please, with the great force of your right hand, O God, guard our state of Israel, our eternal homeland, for the sake of exalting your name among all the inhabitants of the world. Please, with strength and with force, please, without our use of force. May there be shalom. And the prayer for the state of Israel, which we find on page 259. Page 259. Sha'alu Shlom Yerushalayim Yishlayu Ahovayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem and all of Israel. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Sheba Shamayim Tzur Yisrael V'Goalo. Barech et Medinat Yisrael Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Hagen Aleha Be'avrat Chasdecha Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha. Ushlach Orcha Ve'amitcha L'Rasheha Sareha Ve'yoatzeha. V'takneim be'etzat tova milfanecha, v'natata shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat olam liyoshveha v'nomar amen. Please join with me. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over us the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And we say, Amen. Ose Shalom Bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Vehimru, Imru, Amen. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yahaseh Shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. We'll continue with a brief Torah service beginning on page 244. And as I invite Ricky Littau to come and join us and assist with the Torah, mask myself. Page 244. Ein kamocha ba'Elohim, Adonai v'ein kema'asecha. Please rise. Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch, לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. Not yet. אב הרחמים, היטיבה ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אלרם ונישא, אדון עולמים. 246. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ולדבר אדוני מירושלים. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its justice, its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti Uneramim Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai Hagedula V'Hagivura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahod. Ki chol v'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki chol v'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha ve'mitnaseh lechol rosh. You want to give it? No, don't take it off. Okay. You want to give a blessing? Okay. Please be seated. Our Torah portion, some of you may know, is the first parsha, the beginning of the fourth book of the Torah, of Numbers as it's known in English, of Bamidbar as it's known in Hebrew, in the wilderness, and it's called Numbers in English because it begins with a census, an exact census of the children of Israel as they are about to continue now the almost 40 years of wandering in the desert, and Moses is beginning the assignments according to God's direction, the assignments specifically not only of where each tribe shall be stationed around the Mishkan, around the tabernacle, or as we would think of it in military terms as the headquarters, but in the religious terms in the sense of the movable, the portable sanctuary. So not only where each tribe would be stationed so that no one tribe would be farther away, all would have a direct sight line to the Mishkan, because if you'll remember, when the children of Israel saw the pillar of smoke, or if they saw the pillar of fire, they would know whether or not they should be moving at this point, or whether they're staying stationary. Moses assigns the people of where each tribe, where they will be located in the larger camp, and also specifically Aaron and his sons and the Levites, the tribe of Levi, of what their specific assignments were for the sacrifices, for the maintenance of the sanctuary. Call it the the housekeeping committee, or those who took care of the temple and its particular appurtenances and the ceremonial holy objects that were necessary to be maintained. So when we think of the priests and we think of the Levites, the tribe of Levi, it was not just what they would do when the sacrifices were being offered, but also the care that they took in maintaining the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the altar, all of the holy things, the vessels, the curtains, the veils, etc., etc., etc. So this particular portion, the beginning of the book of Numbers, describes those, not only the census and the names of all the tribes and who was the head of the tribes, but also the specific requirements and obligations for the priests, Aaron and his sons, and then for the Levites, and then there were certain sub-tribes, if you will, certain smaller groups within the larger tribe of Levi, and they had certain assignments as well. It was very well, as it is said, nitunim. Each one was assigned a very specific role to play as they developed, as Moses certainly, as they developed the society of free people, the free Israelites, now who would be able to not only protect themselves, but also to maintain the development of their particular cult, faith community, what will become the Jewish religion. So we're reading actually from the third chapter of the book of Numbers, the first 12 or 13 sentences of chapter 3, and I invite you to join me in all the blessings. Ya'amod kol kahal levarech al haTorah, page 250, if you need them in the book. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch ata Adonai notein haTorah. Amen. Ele pikudei b'nei Yisrael levet avotam, kol pikudei hamachaneh letzivotam. So this then was the total numbering and accounting of the children of Israel, each according to their ancestral home. Hamachaneh b'tzivotam, as they were placed around the camp, according to their hosts, according to their total families. Sheish meot elef u'shloshet alafim v'chamesh meot v'chamishim, and this total number of 600,000, and then 30 more thousand and 505. Can't forget the extra 5. V'halavim lo hitpakdu betoch b'nei Yisrael ka'asher tziva Adonai et Moshe, but that does not include the Levites, and certainly does not include the priests as well, as God had commanded Moses, because the others were only those who would serve in the army, only those who from the age of 20 on up, and only the males who would serve as soldiers. V'ya'asu b'nei Yisrael kechol asher tziva Adonai et Moshe. The children of Israel did as Moses had commanded them, or God had commanded Moses. Kain chanu l'diglayhem. Thus did they encamp according to their own flags or ensigns. V'chein nas'u ish l'mishpachotav al beit avotav, and each individual would travel or would continue on the march according to his family or sub-tribe, if you would, in the ancestral identification. Ve'ele toldot Aharon u'Moshe b'yom diber Adonai et Moshe b'har Sinai. This then was the lineage of Aaron, who was the older brother, and Moses, when they stood in on the very day that God spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai. Ve'ele shmot b'nei Aharon. These are the sons of the names of the sons of Aaron. Habachor Nadav v'Avihu, the oldest was Nadav and Avihu the next. Elazar v'itamar, Ele Shmot b'nei Aharon, HaKohanim HaMeshuchim Asher Milei Yadam Lechahen. And these were then the sons of Aaron who had been ordained to fill their hands with the duties of the priesthood. V'yamot Nadav Avihu lifnei Adonai, and with the story, the complicated and tragic story that Nadav and Avihu died in the presence of the Lord. B'hakrivam eish zara lifnei Adonai, when they brought alien fire before Adonai b'midbar Sinai, there in Mount Sinai. Uvanim lo hayu lahem, neither of them had their own children. V'yechahen Elazar v'itamar al pnei Aharon avihem. And so it was Elazar and Itamar who would serve as priests, as the only sons of Aaron at that point, Aaron their father. V'daber Adonai el Moshe lemor, and then God spoke to Moses, Hakrev et Mate Levi. So bring forward for counting, for accountability for the census, the tribe of Levi, V'ha'amadata ito lifnei Aharon HaKohen, and make them, or position them in front of Aaron the high priest, V'shartu oto v'shamru et mishmarto ve'et mishmeret kol ha'edah lifnei ohel mo'ed, and there they would be installed or ordained, if you will, to their tasks of keeping guard and protecting and maintaining for all of the community in the presence or in front of the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting, la'avod et avodat hamishkan, to all of the necessary holy service or divine service that was required for the Mishkan, for the tabernacle. V'shamru et kol klei ohel moed, they were responsible to maintain all of the vessels, the equipment of the tent of meeting, that mishmeret b'nei Yisrael la'avod et avodat hamishkan, and to make sure that the children of Israel indeed were protected and maintained in their holiness before the tabernacle. V'natata et haleviim la'aharon u'levanav nitunim heimalo, and these specific assignments shall be given to the Levites and to Aaron and his sons. Me'et b'nei Yisrael ve'et Aharon ve'et banav tifkod, so that their particular assignment and distinction would be recognized by the children of Israel, and Aaron and his sons in their accounting. V'shamru et kehunatam v'hazar hakarev yumat, and therefore they would maintain, preserve, guard the priesthood, and anyone who approaches who is not qualified is subject to death at that point. The story, the narrative continues with more specific requirements and instructions for the priests, for the Levites, and the clothes and the particular uniform that they would be wearing. And again, then at the very end of this chapter, there's the description of the priests and the Levites again being anointed, and the Hebrew word is Mashiach or Mashuach, which where in English we get the name Messiah, is one who is anointed for special religious or holy or spiritual purposes. But here we're talking specifically about Aaron, his two surviving sons, and all the members of the tribe of Levi. The blessing again now at the bottom of page 250. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Vizot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai ביד משה על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. Be seated. In the presence of the Torah, it is our tradition to offer our prayers of healing and wholeness, of refuah and shalemut, those who are ill, those who are alone, those who are suffering, those who have been wounded in the fighting. Specifically, we think of them as well. Page 253 is the traditional Mishaberach Lacholim. We offer this prayer. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who are ill, including these members of our community and our friends and our loved ones whose names are on our Mishaberach list. We think of Chris Anderson, Harvey Beam, Sheila Berman, Nasima Bernhardt, Irene Case, Brian Clendenin, Joyce Cohn, Alan Delman, Heidi Demarest, Dennis Durante, Jerry Gale Feldman, Mark Feldman, Melissa Feldman, and Nancy Feldman, Jeffrey Saul Gervan, Phil Gidseg, Norm Gossman and Ruth Gossman, Warren Gratis, Rosalind Greenberg, John Halloran, Dawn Kitts, Sharon Laws, Fred Legat, Jan Lund, Carol Mardinley, Michelle Matalon, George Morris, Yolanda Pilgus, Bernie Pincus, Marley Pincus, Lynn Roman, Nancy Schwam, Lori Sherman, Avraham Raphael Ben Shoshana, Lou Simon, Ruth Stevens, Rosalie Wargotz, Art Webb, Alan Winter, Sherry Wolk, and David Wolpert. Are there others whose names anyone wishes to add? We think of them. We pray for their refuah shalema, refuah tanefesh, refuah taguf, renewal of body and of spirit. This interpretation of the traditional Mishaberach Lacholim, a prayer in healing and wholeness, is attributed now to, I don't think she's a cantor, I think she's a cantorial soloist, Susan Collins, and I believe she's in Florida.
Mishaberach
We rise, honor of the Torah and returning the Torah to the Ark, page 256. Page 256. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of Adonai. God's name alone is exalted. Hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayarem keren le'amo tehila lechol hasidav libnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Etz chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomecheha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Please remain standing. We'll continue with Aleinu, the bottom of 282. Page 282 at the bottom. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liyotzeh b'reishit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Livnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And let's continue in English, page 285, the top of the page, 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realms be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. 287. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yiyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Thank you again. Please be seated. Page 293. We remember, in anticipation of reciting Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish, we remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. For their dreams left unfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. We remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and our strength, for life cut short and vision unrealized. And we remember the fallen of our armed services in this country, certainly of the defense forces of the State of Israel, Tzva Haganah Yisrael. as well as victims of terror and tragedy in our day and in the past. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of the hope, the desire, the struggle for peace. Those who died were in love with our land, in love with life, and we remember them. For the agony, the tears, the mothers and the fathers, for the children who were, for the children yet to be, we remember. We think of loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. In our community especially, we honor the memory of Sam Miller. We think of those who died in years past and throughout this past 11 months, those whom we remember specifically on the anniversary of their death, their yahrzeit in the week to come. Jessica Bakke, Ralph Block, Daniel Day, Fran Devine, Terry Freed, Marion Friedman, Isabel Gonzalez, Jeannie Gordon, Ashley Lake Hamilton, Martin Hollander, Norman Clapman, Jack Kramer, Werner Lawson, Jim Mardinley, Isaac Richard Mayo, Dory Roman and Mel Roman, Shmuel Shaham Ben Hanoch, Kenny Spears, Faye Starr, Bud Stein, Stephen Weig, Saul Wise, Loretta Ziegelman, and Edwin Bender, Saul M. Bruckner, Morris Chesanoff, Maureen Clancy, Norma Dansky, Thelma Koppel, Rose F. Kramer, Francis M. Levitt, Max George Lowe, Elsie Mednick, Faye Pilsner, and Edith Schlacks. Are there others whose names we wish to mention? We remember them all, we honor their memories, and give thanks for their lives. Zichronam livracha. May these memories truly be for a blessing. Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Our tradition is that we rise in sympathy with those who mourn and recite these words hallowed by centuries of faith together. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei rabbah. B'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'galav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam ul'olmei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmeid kudsha barichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei adam v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to those who are bereaved amongst us. May God, in answer to our prayers, bring peace to us, to Israel, to her neighbors, to all humanity, to which we say, Amen. Please be seated again with my thanks to those who have participated in the worship and assisted this morning. Thank you, ladies. Tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock. Right. 7 o'clock is our Erev Shavuot service. We will be including Yizkor memorial words as well as a dedication of our new memorial plaque on the wall and recognizing those names who have been added to our walls of honor. Then what else this week? Tuesday morning is a special learning session about the Ten Commandments in honor of Shavuot. It's actually been postponed back from when the Torah portion was about the Ten Commandments.
Wednesday morning, the sisterhood is having a get-together.
Wednesday morning sisterhood get-together.
At 9:30 here at the temple.
9:30 in person.
In person, Yes.
Here in the
We'll
temple.
bring drink and chair.
Drink
Goodies-
and chair.
Yeah, goodies will be provided.
Drink, chair to be brought, goodies will be provided.
And then at 1 o'clock, Don Burke is going to give his presentation.
Don Burke's presentation is entitled at 1 o'clock, or the theme topic.
It's about,
Is that the cosmic one?
It's history.
The cosmic events. and how
Cosmic
they-
events, right.
how they-
And how they may have played out vis-a-vis the Torah, right. Okay, we got it.
But that is on Zoom.
We'll learn a lot.
What?
That's on Zoom.
Yes, that's on.
That's
yeah,
Zoom-
on
that's a Zoom-
on
Zoom class, right,
That's a Zoom
right.
class. And then Friday is
And then
service.
Friday night
Is
at
our last
5 is the last
5
5 o'clock
5 o'clock
service, okay, as we continue, okay, all right. Again, with our thoughts and prayers, Yehuda Halevi says, my heart is in the east, and while I am living here in the west, thoughts and prayers for peace in Israel, certainly. Our tradition has been that we include different renditions of Adon Olam to conclude our service. So appropriately, this is female members of Tzahal, of the Israeli Defense Forces, singing their interpretation of Adon Olam. We join with them in a prayer for peace too. Page 321, if you need the words to follow along to Adon Olam.
Come on, join us.
Oop. I didn't expect that quick ending. So we'll add to it. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. A good Shabbos, and in anticipation, a Chag Sameach for tomorrow night. Thank you for being here and joining us this morning.